Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte clear liners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces, plus they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you could pay with your HSA, FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room? It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system.
If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served.
Hi, I'm Detective Dave.
I'm Detective Dan. Together, we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood.
So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished.
From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th.
We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into the things that we've been consuming recently, and I'm apparently going through puberty because my voice broke. I'm Terry.
And I'm Mary Beth. And this week, we're talking a rebooted horror show, extreme horror, conversion camp horror, and an alien western. Hey. I have 3 drinks. Look at this shit. I have a iced coffee, a liquid death, and I have a Pepsi. Like, it's just
hell yeah.
Constant.
You're like nesting.
Constantly drinking.
Nesting
no,
with
it seriously
drinks.
is, though. Well, exactly. That's what I do at my desk. I always have at least 3 beverages around me at any given moment. Like, it's kind of insane, but I've always been this way. I have photos on my phone going back to like my first desk job where I took pictures of the Holy Trinity, which was like a Diet Coke, water, and a coffee. And so I have always been this way. Like literally a water, a coffee, and some form of soda.
You just upgraded your water to liquid death.
I upgraded to liquid death. This is my last one from Amazon. I need to reorder if I go. Ugh.
I mean, at this point, we really need to
God,
stop
liquid death,
advertising them.
I know. There are people who have tagged me on Twitter who have said, I am now addicted to severed lime liquid death because of the podcast. Fucking come on.
Yeah, seriously. It's so good.
I'm about to like buy their t-shirts. I'm just gonna be a fucking walking billboard. I got into a fucking Uber the other night with a liquid death in my hand going to a concert. Like, who am I?
But it's just so good.
It's just so good.
And refreshing.
And he looks so cool carrying it. And he just looks so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you're drinking like, alcohol. It's such a cool... Anyway.
I got into my Uber and I was like, I hope he doesn't think I'm drinking a literal beer in here because that would be really
Girl, I've been bringing it to work, and the first time I went to work, one of my coworkers did like a double take, like, excuse me, because alcohol verboten where we work, and I'm like, no, this is water. I'm like, I'm like, no, seriously, it's called liquid death. No, it's water.
I did that. I was in a meeting and I drank it. Someone's like, are you drinking right now? I'm like, oh no. It's like, whoops.
It's a cool can, but it's also a problematic can to bring at work.
Yeah. Oops. Anyway. This has been Sparkling Water Corner. the hydration station.
It's important to hydrate.
Rebooted horror show?
Oh, yes. I was like, what? Rebooted horror show. Okay. So I never saw this when the original TV show came out, but Pretty Little Liars.
Okay.
So they've rebooted it, and it's on HBO Max starting the day before this episode comes out. I had to go look up, what day is it? What time is it?
Like, what?
It comes out
Is
the day before this episode. So dropping 3 episodes at once, and then 2, and then I think 2, and then 3 or something. I don't know. HBO does weird things. But this is Pretty Little Liars Original Sin, and it's a reboot of the series, and it takes place in 2 different time periods. Same universe, different city, I guess, but takes place in 2 different time periods. There's 1999, when a group of girls are at like a rave for a New Year's Eve party. One girl kind of walks up to them and gets ignored by them, and she's like holding her stomach and obviously isn't doing well. And then she climbs up in the rafters and falls, jumps, pushed, unsure, falls to her death. Everyone calls it a suicide. Cut forward 20 years later, and the daughters of those girls are now this new club of Pretty Little Liars, and there is a person named A, which likes to sign with like the scarlet letter A, is punishing them and their parents for what happened to Angela, the girl that died in 1999. And so there's like a lot of secrets, a lot of intrigue, a lot of horror references. Boy, there's a character named Tabby, played by someone, Chandler Kinney. Had to go look at IMDb. Played by Chandler Kinney, who is basically like a walking Randy. And I'm not 100% sure yet if I find it endearing or a little too meta. Like, she's like dropping De Palma, and there's one point where she's like, they're talking about how something is like Pet Sematary. She's like, no, this isn't Pet Sematary, this is Hereditary level shit. So there's like a lot of that going on, but it also kind of homages horror. There's like a lot of split diopters. There's a sequence that obviously is riffing on Carrie. The filmmakers, the showrunners used to write for Riverdale and Sabrina. So if you're looking for a kind of like expectation, this is like a more, when I say adult, I mean more like there's allowed nudity and sex and language, and there's butts and peepees and curse words. I sure as fuck did. Butts and peepees. I think I know what the episode title is going to be. Fuck.
I'm an adult.
Here we are. You're an adult. I'm the one that said peepees. Instead of penises or dicks or cocks or anything, I decided peepees.
I know. And you've said all of those words on this podcast before. It's
but today, they're peepees. Can you imagine getting intimate with something like, oh yeah, give me that pee-pee? Anyway, that's Pretty Little Liars Original Sin. And if you want to know more about it, including, I have not said in my recaps review PP yet, but if you want to learn more about it, I am covering it with friend of the show and former guest Joe Lipsett, like we do, between his and my site. So if you're watching it, follow along with us. And don't hold it against me that I just said PP. Getting away from that, though, let's try to salvage this conversation. No! I want to hear about extreme horror.
There are butts and peepees in this one, but it's not funny. This movie's not funny at all.
It is now. I swear, we start like releasing video content and we just have gone, I don't know, cuckoo bananas.
Okay, this is Megalomaniac. This is the movie I'm talking about. I saw this as part of Fantasia. I'm home now, obviously, but I am still watching things because the festival goes on for another week, which is absolutely insane. So this is Megalomaniac. This is a Belgian film from Kareem Wilhaj. I think, pardon me if that last name is if I pronounce that incorrectly, but so Megalomaniac is basically a response to the new French Extremity.
Oh, okay.
I believe. And this is how it was kind of marketed to me by the PR guy, Ted Geoghegan. And I agree with that quite a bit. It's about a brother and sister, Felix and Marta, who are the offspring of a notorious Belgian serial killer. And the serial killer, the the Skinner of Mons, is a real serial killer.
Oh.
So what the director is doing is taking kind of the mythology of the serial killer who was never caught. Like, they never found out who this guy was. And he basically, like, killed women, dismembered them, and deposited them in trash bags along the highway. And so the film is basically like, these are the kids of this guy.
Okay.
And it's like taking a true crime kind of angle and extrapolating it into this very weird story about trauma and being related to someone with this kind of like legacy and how that manifests. And so Felix, my man, no eyebrows, long black hair, like the most emo looking man I've ever seen. He is following in his father's footsteps as a serial killer. And then there is Marta, who is working as a cleaning lady in a factory, and she is bullied and sexually assaulted by the men that work there.
Jesus.
This movie is insane. And it's kind of like the two of them grappling with their legacy and trauma, and this kind of really interesting, fucked up look at nature over nurture, violence. It's weird, and I didn't know how I felt about it when I first watched it, because there's a lot happening. Like, there's a lot of like sexual violence, a lot of murder, a lot of misogyny, and I was like, this is just like fucking ridiculous. But like, the more I thought about it, the more I thought that like, okay, like there's something being done here with this. And I also, not to spoil it, but I also felt like there's a lack of catharsis that I like in New French Extremity. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought about the movie is actually not about even achieving catharsis, which is even more fucked up. And it's just like, it's nasty, it's gross, it's like, I had to pause watching because I was like, all right, I need a break.
Oh, shit.
Like, this is a lot. But it's fascinating and has really grown on me the more I've thought about it. It won a bunch of awards at the festival.
Okay.
The woman who plays Marta is incredible. And it's just this like really bleak look at cycles of trauma and violence and like how that manifests. It's just fucking weird.
Okay. Is it something that I mean, you know me and like martyrs. Is it something that I would, I mean, enjoy might not be the right word, but
I don't know if you would appreciate it. Which is valid, because it's not a movie that many probably should appreciate. But here I am. I mean, like, XYZ acquired it, so it's going to get distribution. I know, XYZ's killing it. Like, they've acquired it, so that means it's going to get distribution at some point. Which I think is so fucking cool that movies like this are getting recognized, and, like, their value is getting recognized. Like, I know they're controversial, and it's, like, very easy to be, like, it's very easy and very valid to be movies like those are just incredibly misogynistic. Why do we need them? Like, those are very valid, like, criticisms of the movie. I see it a little bit differently, but, like, doesn't mean someone's wrong. I just think there's something really fascinating in how bleak it is. Yeah, and in how it doesn't want you to feel catharsis at the end, which is so fucked up and gross.
I mean, but, like, I do like films that sometimes that don't have that catharsis or are that nihilistic. It's just, I don't know. I've been going back and forth on whether I should request it or not, but I also don't want to review it knowing that I might go into it hating it. Like, you know, that's like not a good angle to...
It's hard because, like, the reason you didn't like Martyrs would be the reason why you won't like this one, which is a very valid reason not to like it. Like, I wouldn't say they're the same, but there's, like, that level of misogyny that you can, like... that is pretty easily perceived is pretty on display, like the whole movie.
Yeah. It's one of those that I think I might watch when it comes out, but like I don't know if I'll request it to review.
Yeah.
I just don't want to go into a movie knowing that I'm probably going to hate it. You know what I mean?
No, that's fair. That's fair, very fair. That is Megalomaniac. So keep an eye out, all you extreme horror fans especially. keep an eye out. Fantasia really is delivering like the fucked up weird shit. I'm very happy. I was like slow going at first, but now I'm like hitting a stride. I heard Skinamarink is really good, so I'm gonna watch that soon. So
I've fallen behind.
I don't know why I'm not doing well with the writing. I've written 5 reviews though.
Okay,
so that's
you're 2
good.
up on me.
I'm proud of myself for that.
Well, in my 3 review, okay, no, I have written 4 reviews, but 3 of them are capsule reviews because I was just like, this is where I'm at.
Those are still
where
reviews.
I'm at.
Those are still reviews. Look, there's too much going on, too many movies, but you know, it was Fantasia, and then we've seen 2 movies, like bigger releases that are outside of the festival circuit, and this first one is the Conversion Camp horror, Terry, that we both saw.
We have seen They Them, which is premiering August 5th.
It's actually pronounced they/them. I got like 45 emails about it. It needs to be pronounced they/them for junket interviews. Yeah, like that's how you have to pronounce it in junket interviews. So I'm just being an asshole because it's been hammered into my brain for like a week and a half.
Well, They Them. They/them is coming out August 5th on Peacock. It is, according to IMDb, an LGBTQIA empowerment tale set at a gay conversion camp. That is all IMDb says. Okay, so I enjoyed this one. I didn't like it as much as I hoped.
I know.
But I didn't dislike it as much as I feared. I believe is what I told you offline. Yeah. In terms of like my feel for it. It's about, again, a gay conversion camp. Although I would probably say a queer conversion camp because there's a gamut of sexualities and identities here. And they are all being forced to come here because of their parents. It's run by Kevin Bacon as Owen Whistler. He starts off the movie by saying, that you're not going to hear any talk about God here. We're not trying to change who you are. If you leave here and you are still queer, have at it. But I know some of you want to change. And so it's this kind of insidious bit of microaggression on him and the kind of counselors part, or the people running the camps part, where they're just a lot of like little jabs that just sort of keep escalating, as well as it being sort of a slasher, kinda.
Barely a slasher. It's not really a slasher. It's like a slasher for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, there's like it opens up with a cold open kill, and then there's like one kill somewhat fairly early on, maybe in the like first act, beginning of second act, and then there's like nothing until the end. So it's kind of weird how it's being portrayed as like a slasher, I think. Has a cool mask though.
It's a really cool mask, and I think there's a lot about this movie that feels very sanitized for a wider audience and trying to be really gay in a palatable way, if that makes any sense at all. Like, I think it's trying really hard to be like, look, we are very gay and very queer, and this is a very like a movie that's trying to like right the wrongs the horror genre has done to queer characters, which I very much appreciate. Like, it's not trying to like show you like a lot of queer pain in like through murder. There's queer pain in other ways, because it's a lot of it's like a psychological drama thriller about the conversion camp part. So it's like that's the focus, and that could have been a interesting movie. I think it was just trying to like fall into a buzzier kind of genre and didn't really know how to do it the right way, if that makes sense. Like, it just felt well-intentioned but poorly executed.
Yeah, which is weird to me because it was written by John Logan, and John Logan is like a gay god of writing for me. I mean, he's written big things like The Aviator and Skyfall. Was the writer for Rango, but then he also wrote Alien Covenant. But then he also wrote like Penny Dreadful.
Yeah, it's just like it's just like a very I don't know, because I've been trying to grapple with how I feel about it, because like I gave it a positive review on Dread Central, and I stand by the positive review. Like, it was not like super high.
No, I enjoyed it.
I think this is an important. Yeah, because I think it's an important movie because, like, it's an important movie that's not going, like, super deep. Because, you know, we obviously have, like, a non-binary lead, which we needed more of the non-binary lead. It did not really, like, they did not really feel like that final character to me, but whatever. And, like, you know, we have a trans character, we have a bisexual character, which made my little gay heart sing. Lesbians, like, internalized homophobia. Like, there is this really great range of representation, but it's one of these, like, kind of clunky ways of doing it to be like, look, you can do this. And it's not always done in the most careful way. But it's trying more than most other movies have, you know, which is like, I want to give credit where credit is due and trying to do something that a lot of other films haven't tried to accomplish.
I think that if you go in with the expectation that it's not really a slasher, it's a drama that falls into a slasher at certain points, you might appreciate it more. I was going into it, particularly after the trailers, kind of thinking, ooh, this is going to be like a Friday the 13th for queer people. You know what I mean? And it's not it.
Yeah.
That's not it. But I think that it's doing some interesting things. I liked the way it handles, I mean, you mentioned internalized homophobia. I love the way that it handles that. And I love the way it handles the people in charge. That's all I'll say about that. But yeah.
So yeah, it's fun. Just, like, go into it with, like, kind of low expectations and don't expect a slasher. You'll have a good time. It's gay. It's really fucking gay. And, like, that's awesome. It's very queer. And, like, the whole cast is queer. Like, all of the people that are in the cast are queer. Which I know, like, always that weird argument. But it's just really cool to see, like, queer people playing queer people in, like, a large group.
And it has my boo, Cooper Coach, who was in Swallowed. Also coming up from Carter Smith, and he's so
attractive.
He's just gorgeous. He's a gorgeous human being. Breaking from that reverie,
staring off into the.
Let's end on I think a high note for both of us. Let's talk about this alien western ?
Alien western. So we both saw Jordan Peele's Nope, his third film that just came out last week, and I loved it.
I did too. I absolutely loved it. It somehow exceeded my high expectations for it. I do think I've seen some complaints about that it probably could have been shorter. And I mean, I think that it is very measured in how it lays out its story. I mean, maybe you probably could have edited some of it down, but I think it's perfect the way it is.
I think so too. I did not feel like it did not feel like 2 hours. I felt like, to me, every beat in this movie was necessary to, like, really build up to, like, the climax at the end and make it so effective. And, like, the climax is, like, a long, sustained situation. Ha ha ha. But it's, like, it's not just, like, this is so sexual. It's not just, like, one burst. It's, like, the third act is just climax. Yes, I will continue with this metaphor. Everything in it builds the stakes so well. And, some people, like, don't think there's enough, like, development to the characters, and that's I mean, like, I don't agree, but I can see what you're saying. But I love the characters in this movie too. I think the cast is incredible. Chef's kiss.
I think this one makes you do a little bit more work in terms of finding the character development, but I also don't necessarily think that it is about these characters. I think it's more about big ideas in a way. And I think it's about these ideas in the way of, like, spectacle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
But, like, the performances are fantastic. I've heard people compare it to Jaws in a way, and, like, very Spielbergian. And I do think, especially in that final act, it does feel like we're out at sea, like, dealing with the shark, where it just is constantly going and constantly getting more complicated of a fight. And the alien design in this, god damn, is it good.
I did wish it was a little bit more violent.
Okay.
That's, like, my biggest complaint. I wish this movie had been more violent. Like, there are a lot of, like, really interesting moments that the camera cuts away from. And there's a certain scene, an abduction scene, that is, like, the fucking freakiest shit I've ever seen. But we don't get a lot of that. And it just felt like a little bit sanitized. And I said that with they/them, but I also feel like this one was a little bit sanitized too. Like, it could have been way nastier, and I think there's a little bit of avoiding the gore, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah, I thought that the alien abduction scene was really well done for what it was, but I kept thinking, until the very end of it, where I thought it made sense, I kept thinking while I was watching it that like they probably could have gone bigger. But it makes sense after. I'm trying not to spoil, kind of.
Yeah,
the bit at the end.
It's yeah.
But there is one scene involving a lot of blood, and I just expected it to be. I was hoping for Evil Dead remake levels of that particular moment, and that's not what we got. The ideas here are really good, and I've read a lot of think pieces about specific images and specific sequences that I've been really enjoying, and has helped my kind of appreciation of the film as well. So
Jordan Peele stays winning. Jesus fucking Christ. That's all I have to say about that.
3 for 3 for me.
3 for 3. He doesn't miss.
No.
This is, I think, gonna be like, this is his big blockbuster. This is his like him showing he can do a big summer blockbuster. That's like,
and the effects are much better than anything we've seen in superhero movies. Sorry about it.
I agree.
Operating on a $60 million budget, which is a lot of money, but when you compare it to the amounts of money that's spent on Superhero X, this looks so much better. Plus, after I watched it, I found out that it was shot with IMAX cameras, and I was like, God damn it, I wish I was seen it in IMAX, because there are some grand vistas in this, and there are some thrilling moments where the alien is chasing after, and it's just, it's so beautiful. I think this movie has such a it's such a good visual storytelling. Like, there's so much visual storytelling going on, and that's what I love to see. And I love that we've gotten 3 movies that are completely different from him.
I know. Like, it's really cool to see him kind of tackling subgenres and putting, like, his own twist on them and making his own kind of, like, contemporary look at those kinds of stories that we're so used to. Like, especially with this alien story. Yeah.
Kiki Palmer, too.
It was just, like, so fun to watch. Oh, my God, she's so good.
She's so good in this.
But yeah, so everyone see Nope. Yeah. If you are comfortable going to theaters, go see it in a theater. It's a really good movie to see in a theater, like with a big screen. It's grand and spectacle. So, I mean, if it's something you're comfortable with, I definitely recommend it. But I also know that things are weird right now. So that about does it for this week. So we're still covering Fantasia next week, so we're still pushing horror comedies because I'm gonna have more movies to talk. More movies to talk about next week.
Watch
probably
more movies. So
yeah, I have a couple I'm really stoked to watch. So hopefully I'll have those to talk about next week. Yes, and then who are we talking to on Monday?
We are chatting with writer-director Addison Hyman, whose debut feature film Hypochondriac is out today in theaters and will be on VOD next Friday. And we've both seen the movie. It is Scarred for Life approved. I really enjoyed the film. It really...
My pull quotes on the poster.
I know, it's so fucking cool. It's like a gut punch of a film, particularly if you have ever dealt with mental illness. And it does some very interesting things in that realm. So it's really good. But he also brought with him a fucking classic and a banger of a film. We are chatting Scream 2.
And the incredible college theater apartment.
Oh my God. It's a toss-up between that and Euphoria at this point. Which one? Which one has the bigger budget?
Incredible.
I mean, Euphoria kind of does, but anyway.
Oh my God. So listeners, you've heard from us, but we want to hear from you. Did you watch something that we watched this week and have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for movies we should be watching? Send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. I am at MB McAndrews. And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. We say this every week, but it really does help with the algorithms.
Please and thank you. Speaking of thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. And thank you everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there. But most importantly, stay...
And until next time.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is the briefing room?
It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system.
If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served.
Hi, I'm Detective Dave.
I'm Detective Dan. Together, we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood.
So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished.
From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th. We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.